Alright, hello everyone. Today I want to talk about argument selection, which presumes the generation of multiple ideas and the filtering of particular ideas that will likely increase your chances of winning a round. In actuality, I would rather think about this process as one of refining the specific type of analysis that you would want to make. It's not really about eliminating ideas outright or dismissing things completely like a checklist sort of way, but it's about reorienting your ideas towards a more engaging case that is more comprehensive. So that's what I'm going to focus on today when we talk about improving argument selection. For this video, I want to focus on one example, which I think illustrates this point very well. Let's say the motion was a typical classic motion on banning political dynasties from running for office. A political dynasty in this case can simply be defined as closely related members from an established political family that intend to run for office. If you were government side, there are many intuitive reasons to oppose political dynasties in general. You may say that they tend to be corrupt and bad leaders, they concentrate a lot of power on themselves and their family dynasty, or that they tend to stagnate political diversity because they suppress opposing candidates and families. Now, these are all definitely good ideas and they can be constructed very well. For example, you can provide many intuitive reasons as to why members of political dynasties may not be good leaders because of complacency. Whereas opposition may likely counter that with reasons such as, they can learn from their predecessors and that provides stability to the government and they can contest you on each and every reason and go on and on and on from that standpoint. However, is this necessarily a strategic line of analysis for you to take? My answer for this video would be no, because these arguments are not necessarily inherent to political dynasties, nor do they directly engage with very good arguments that opposition can very much present. And what I mean here immediately is that opposition does not necessarily need to contest the fact that political dynasties are smart or not, nor if it's a good thing or a bad thing, if they can concentrate power or stagnate political diversity. These are actually things that they can concede. Instead, opposition's strongest argument is one on democracy. That if it is the democratic will of individuals to vote for political dynasties, then it is wrong for the state to ban them from running for office. They should be given the opportunity to run and convince the public. And even if they win on name recognition, even if they win on popularity, and even if they win for all of these reasons that end up allowing them to be corrupt and still very, very much popular, it is the spirit of elections to submit to the will of the majority at all costs. And thus, this should never be violated because voters know best for themselves. And no one else knows what they want other than their expressed preference to vote. So if opposition were to take that approach, clearly it would not be strategic to opt for this back and forth on whether political dynasties are good or bad leaders. This is a pointless engagement that does not address op's inherent concern on democracy. So we get back to the argument selection. How can we formulate a case that directly contests or beats out this democracy point? And here, the answer is unsurprisingly fairly straightforward. What I would do is to prove that political dynasties inherently undermine democratic institutions in a way that captures these systems for their own benefit at the expense of the public. They do this through capturing a majority of campaign financing that preemptively shuts out competitors from even opposing them, by structuring government institutions and changing the rules of the game to favor their own families and political parties, by creating self-fulfilling prophecies and grooming their own kin through political appointments and privileges exclusive to the power that they hold, etc., etc. The list goes on and on. So in effect, what we are proving is that political dynasties suppress the will of the people. They exploit and they weaken trust and faith in democratic processes, and they wholeheartedly win elections in a very unrepresentative and unfair way that cannot conceivably be proven to be a legitimate and fair election or even an electoral environment. So if you think about it, a lot of these ideas that I just mentioned are not too far from the initial arguments we had at the very beginning. These are just other ways to explain how they are corrupt and bad leaders, but more specifically oriented to how they undermine democracy and democratic institutions itself, which is the value system that opposition is forwarding in this debate. It takes only a little bit of extra effort and doesn't require entirely revamping everything that you made during prep time. In other words, this is what I would call reformulating and reframing your arguments. And that is how you select and filter and put your ideas through the testing chamber and create a more engaging case that you can likely win with in most debates. Alright, that should be it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching and have a great day.